Hi, Mark Robertson back with you here, and we've reached the final chapter in my book, Carrying Lawn Chairs, Youth Sports, and Other Parental Mindsets, which is, of course, available on Amazon electronic book and the regular paperback book. And basically, we've talked about a lot about children and the parental dynamic. The first part of the book, we talked about youth sports and all the problems I have with it, and how I'm against putting very young kids into organized youth sports. How I think it's at the very least pointless and maybe even harmful to the child's overall well-being. And the second part, we talked about many other subjects related to the parent-child dynamic, and from schooling to everything else going on in the crazy world with children, and a lot of things anyway. So the closing chapter, if I just had to repeat a few things, or the basic message of the book: let children be children. They know how to do that. They know how to play. They know they want to play. They want authentic play. Of course, they need boundaries and guidance and everything, but kids love to play. They naturally know how to do that. So if that's naturally what they want to do, do you think God maybe had a plan for that? They don't need to be put into T-ball at age 3 or cheerleading at age 2 or all this other nonsense. Let them play. Let them run around the backyard. They know what they want to do. Parents want them to get an early start, to get ahead in life in the competitive world, because they have an inferior feeling about themselves and they think their kids have to do the same thing. Well, just trust. These kids know what they're doing. They know what they want. And yes, they need guidance and discipline and all this other stuff. And they have to take out the trash and they have to study in school. Although schools, we talked about that as well. Kids learn differently. But the basic message of this book is let kids be kids. Let them be themselves. Authentic play. They learn who they are and they know who they are better, in a much better way, and they're able to deal with the world better as adults, and they are able to deal with the competitive world better if they have self-knowledge, and they get that through authentic play and learning about life and learning about the awe of the world. It's something that most parents these days, like I say, they're tense. Oh, well, they're 2 years old. We want to get them into Harvard, so we got to start doing flashcards and things like this. Oh my gosh, if they don't do it now, they'll never get it. If they don't take tennis lessons at age 2, they'll never be a pro tennis player. And nonsense like this. It's just crazy, the craziness and all these camps and all this other stuff. You know, one of my favorite stories in sports, the book, yes, I don't really consider this a sports book, but we did talk about youth sports. It's more the parent-child dynamic. But Calvin Pete is my favorite sports biography of all time. Here's a guy who grew up poor. He was born in Detroit, a large family, moved to Florida. He sold vegetables out of his station wagon, later got into the jewelry selling business and went around the country doing that. And long story short, he was with some friends somewhere, I believe it was in Virginia, and they were going to go out and play golf, and he barely knew what golf was. And he didn't want to go, but he said he'd go and he'd sleep in the car while they played golf. And they said, no, come on now, let's play some golf. He didn't want to go. He kept saying no. But they finally got him out there and they handed him a golf club, which he had never held. And all of a sudden it felt just right. It was like a miracle. He go, what is this? And so he started swinging. And again, the long story short, he started playing golf and hitting golf balls all day long. He was in his late 20s at that point, or early 20s, I should say, 23, 24 years old, and just kept hitting golf balls all day long. When he was a kid, he fell out of a tree, so the first thing in golf, the rule they tell you to keep your arms straight. He couldn't even do that, and he didn't have golf gloves. He got some cheapo clubs, but he just kept hitting the golf ball, and he got pretty good shooting par, and even better than that. And eventually, he became a professional golfer, and believe it or not, he got on the golf tour. And he played and he kept hitting golf balls all day long. He said it wasn't work, it was hot. What work was picking vegetables in the hot field. And he didn't think hitting golf balls all day long was work at all. But eventually he got out on the tour and he won 12 tour events, including the Players' Championship in '85. And that year he got the trophy for the Player of the Year. And the guy that finished second was a guy named Jack Nicklaus. And so it's just the most amazing story of all time. Did he go to golf schools when he was young? Did his parents put him in golf lessons at age 3? Did all this happen? No. He had a desire. He was poor. He wanted to better himself. And he had this burning desire. I think a lot of times getting kids involved in stuff so early takes away that desire. And Ben Hogan was the same way. He was poor, and he just would hit golf balls hour after hour, and he became one of the greatest golfers of all time. But Calvin Pete ended up winning 12 tournaments on the tour, became worth a few $1 million. He was, like I say, dirt poor for most of his life. And so it's quite a story. And it just goes against everything that parents say. Not that every child that does that is going to be a pro golfer, but it worked out for Calvin. He became one of the straightest drivers of all time on the tour, probably the most accurate driver ever. And who would have thought? Maybe there's one story about him going to a golf shop and then showing him a golf club. He didn't even know what a golf club was. He knew nothing about the game, hardly, other than he just kept swinging and hitting away. And like I say, it's my favorite sports biography of all time. Calvin passed away a few years back in his early 70s, and but it's quite a story. And so once again, putting your kids into sports very early, it's pointless and probably even harmful. They need free play, that they learn who they are. They're less depressed. Kids who have all their time organized, whether it's sports or school or everything else, and don't have any time for free play. Recent studies show that they have bouts of depression when they get older. They can't. They need to play. The work of kids is play, and that's what they need to do. Kids, young people, are not little adults, and that's what they treat them as. They're kids. Kids are kids. They need to be treated like kids. It's not easy being a parent, but let kids be kids, and don't worry about them, and don't compare them to yourself. Let them be kids. Let them enjoy life. Have boundaries. Have rules. Don't let them hang around bad people. Let them enjoy the awe and wonder of this beautiful world and see for what it is. And if they do that, they'll be much better adjusted adults, and they'll be able to compete in this world because, like I say, they'll have self-knowledge. Authentic play brings self-knowledge. So we've come to the end of this book. Like I said, I hope you might check it out on Amazon, and we may be doing some more commentaries on related subjects. And I may also have, this is the cover of the book now, we may be getting another cover for the book, and so some changes there. But we've enjoyed being with you for all these sessions, and I'd like to end today by reading from the very end of the book, Carrying Lawn Chairs. And the first one is a biblical quote from Corinthians 13:11. And it kind of gives a summation of what I believe in the principles in this book and what I've put forth. But this goes, when I was a child, I used to speak like a child, think like a child, and reason like a child. So like I say, children, they're not adults, and even God says so in the Bible. And my final quote is from philosopher Eric Hoffer. He was speaking of starting a career late. He was a longshoreman, and he just started writing books and philosophy of life, and he's quite a brilliant man, and I recommend his books as well. But to close with his quote, kind of sums up what I have put forth as well. Here from Eric Hoffer. Art is older than production for use, and play older than work. Man was shaped less by what he had to do than by what he did in playful moments. It is the child in man that is the source of his uniqueness and creativeness, and the playground is the optimal milieu for the unfolding of his capabilities and talents. That says what I have said in all these sessions in a nutshell. Let kids play. They learn who they are. They're better able to adapt to the world. Authentic play. Organized sports for very young kids is not authentic play. It gets in the way of that. It confuses kids. It may even harm kids. It's not good. It's all about parents wanting to get their children a head start in life so they can compete in this crazy world. The way to have well-adjusted kids is let them have authentic play, keep them away from bad people. Peer pressure is crazy, but authentic play is how they learn best who they are and how they best get along in this crazy world. Once again, thanks for being with us for all these sessions. We'll be back with more. We'll let you know about that in the near future. And hope you all have a great day. And thanks for joining us on this series about my book, Carrying Lawn Chairs. And check it out if you like, or you can just watch all these sessions and get the gist of it. And we will talk to you soon. Take care. Have a good one.